them then. Let me use
It's okay.
my
I'm
phone
messing
then.
with you. You can have it.
Although it's not so
It's not so
clear.
clear, but you
That's
can
fine then.
still
Let me
see
use
it.
my phone.
Sure.
I took the question and put my answers and gave it back to the
So you
system. So
have
I
it. Okay.
have
So
it.
you have it then.
So any breaks in between, how many minutes do we have in
We
total?
have 45 minutes.
Oh, that's a long time.
It's actually very short. No, we have 30 minutes. 45 keys with ads, but yeah,
I thought that all my plenty English would.
will suffice. Don't worry.
The world of commerce. The hub
All right, we're
of
going in.
business. Business Hub on Smooth 98.1 in association with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.
It
It
can
can
be.
be.
What's the of my head?
Yes, please. Sorry.
It's a kind of frequency.
Lagos, you're welcome back. If you just joined us, you are just in time. And I know I say this all the time, but I promise you, you're just in time because it's time for Business Hub, and we have a very, 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 very special guest in the studio.
Yes, indeed. But first, let's remind them that Business Hub is brought to you by Stanbic IBTC.
That is true.
Yes, yes. And we're
It's brought
streaming
to you
live
by
on YouTube.
Yes. Okay, so we're streaming live, just like Judith mentioned, and across all platforms, you can, reach out to us and let's have a conversation. Okay, so it's 0809 Also, feel free to jump in and call the studio lines. Call the number 0144899981 to be a part of our conversation this afternoon.
And today we're talking about just on SMEs, because again, it's Business Hub. We're talking about enabling SME growth through process improvement. And we have a special guest join us today because Regis isn't here. But of course, we have a beautiful lady. So bye, Rotus, wherever you are. We have a special guest join us today. Her name is Princess Edo Osagie. She is head of product leadership and agile governance of a leading fintech company.
We
And
talked
I'm
about that
really,
earlier. It's
I was
like
like, agile governance.
Like, what is agile?
What is that's the first question. So, Princess, you're welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please, can you come closer to the microphone over there?
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Ah, that's a lovely voice. Well, welcome. So, Princess, tell us, what is agile governance?
So a lot of the things you hear around agile governance speaks to the things we need to do to enable organizations, teams to apply agility to deliver value to their customers. Again, this cuts across the different parts of the organization. So there's a lot of things you need to do around people. There are a lot of things you need to do around processes. So again, it's just a lot of work, and that's why I have a lot of gray hair.
Well, we don't
It's-
see it.
it's-
We
it's
see
across the
absolutely
sense.
nothing. It's just beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Okay, so now that you've explained what it is, I'd like to know, how do you achieve agile governance? Because it's one thing to talk about it. There's also another thing to put it to work. How do you achieve it?
Yeah, so the first thing that you need to work at is the mindset.
Okay.
You first have to shift the mindset because a lot of things we try to do, we are stuck in our ways. So the first thing you need to do is have an open mind. So
Okay.
you need to shift your mindset a little bit. But the intent of shifting the mind is to ensure that you're looking at your organization or as a business as a set of interrelated systems that need to work together to deliver the value you provide to your customers. Once you're able to understand that, the next thing you then need to do is create time and space to reflect on your processes. Because most times we got caught up in the day to day and forget that these things need to work together. The business is a system. The same way you have a car and your car has the engine and it has the side
Various
mirror.
systems.
Everything needs to work together to get you to your destination. So we need to apply those same principles to your business to understand the different parts that you have in your business that help you deliver the value to your customer.
All right.
Oh, nice. Well, if you're just tuning in, remember that it's Business Hub. We're streaming live on YouTube. So go on to YouTube. It's www.youtube.com/smooth981. The voice you just heard is Princess Edo Osagie. She's the head of product leadership and agile governance at one of Nigeria's major fintech companies, firms. So, Princess, we're here to discuss enabling SME growth through process improvement. How often should businesses review their processes in the first place to know when they need improvement?
Okay, so to answer that, I would start with a little bit of context. We know that too much change too soon leads to change saturation. Uh, if you don't adjust your processes over time, if you spend like a year or 2 years before you sit back to adjust your processes, it also has issues.
Yes.
So it depends, right? So it depends on your current context, on where you are and what you're trying to achieve. So my recommendation all the time is look at your current context, identify where you are, and figure out what it is you want to improve now. But the things we'll be talking about much later are things that can help guide you to understand what tools you can use based on your journey. So interesting
Nice.
stuff ahead.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Don't forget, we're also streaming the show live, so you can join us via our YouTube link to be a part of the conversation and also get a glimpse of who we're having a conversation with here in the studio. That said, though, I'd like to ask this question. Should the review of business processes be left to one person or a team? Now, I say this because, sometimes, they say two heads are better than one, right? But then again, when one person, sets his mind to something, he can be a little more deliberate. So the big question, like I mentioned, is, should the review of a business or businesses in general, should it be left to a person or a team or a group of people? How should that be done?
Okay, so if I ask you, you're working in a team and your boss tells you to do X and say, dear team, go and figure it out. Or your boss comes to you and says, go and do this. How do you typically feel?
Well, it depends on who the boss is.
And it depends on the task as well.
And the
If
task that's
it's
given.
something that I can do or like it speaks to my strength, that's a completely different conversation. But if something that I cannot do, and I would definitely need more persons to come along. I need to ask questions. Who's done it before?
Yeah.
Look at how it's been done before. So that's a lot of processes. to
Yeah.
that.
So, but if you look at it from the context of the team is the one responsible for that thing, wouldn't you prefer to improve your own process? So my answer to this question is that the team should drive process improvement because they're the ones that actually feel the pain
Okay.
and understand things better and even have more information about the process and the pain points. However, you still need to have somebody who is championing that drive.
That makes the decisions.
Yeah, makes the decisions or guides the team. What I like to use is provide guardrails and guidance to the team so that the change you want is eventually achieved. But don't just leave it to the team. Guidance is also absolutely key.
That's right.
But is there any perfect process, at a business, processes when it comes to doing business? Is there any scenario where, if it's ain't broken, don't fix it? If it's, for example, if I just feel like there's some movies that shouldn't be redone ever again. Just leave it. Don't fix it, So, but when it comes to that, what do you think about that?
So my personal opinion on this is that nothing is perfect. First of all, change is constant.
True.
So as things are changing, your environment, your staff, you also need to ensure your processes are evolving to those things that are happening around you. So again, nothing is perfect. Constant change. For me, it's funny to for people to say that particular statement because if you had a child who was just born, the expectation of every parent is that the child needs to grow, begin to walk. That is change. So why are we able to embrace change in the places where we are comfortable and we don't apply those same principles to our business?
She's absolutely correct. All right, if you just joined the show, maybe you just stepped in your car, or you just changed the knob and you switched on to Smooth 98.1. Well, we're having a conversation with Princess Edo Sage. She's the head of product and leadership and agile governance at one of Nigeria's major tech firms. Also, we're talking about improving SME process flows. SME process flows. That's why you heard a lot about processes. But that said, though, let's talk about improving processes, right? So how do you go about improving the process flows after observations have been made, because, there are so many ways to look at it, but how then do you improve it?
Okay. So there are several tools and techniques SMEs can apply to their process improvement. But again, you also have to apply context. It depends on where you are. A child can't just wake up and start to run. You need to know where you are. So there are foundational things you need to do. And the first thing I would like to put forward is that you need to have a solid foundation. It means that your processes, for example, need to exist. If you haven't defined it, there is no need sitting down trying to go and improve what you haven't defined.
Okay.
So you need to start from the foundation. But at the foundation level, there are tools you can use that can just simply improve your process by organizing your work environment. So there's something called 5S. Again, a lot of this work is around the body of work for Lean Six Sigma.
Say again?
Lean Six Sigma.
What does that mean?
LSS. So it's a process framework that people can apply. Their tools, techniques, a lot of work, but it's a little more structured and helps you apply those process improvements in your organization. So at the base level, which is level 1, you can use things like the 5S in your work environment to say, how can I improve my
Let's break it
processes?
down for the layman out there.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
5S.
Yes.
What is the 5S?
So the 5S is sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. So if we look at where we are right now in your office, what can we do in this work environment to improve
The process.
process?
First turn on the AC, then we'll be cool.
But why? Why do you want to do that?
Because
There
it's
must,
cold here.
It's freezing. If you've been here 5 hours, Jesus.
there must be a benefit. So if I say I am in the studio here with you and I'm on air and I wanted to get something down there that I need to do my job, the amount of time it takes me to travel from here to there just to get something that I need for the show, for example, it needs to be factored in. So how you even position the seats, where the desks are, could you have put additional cabinets under here so that I don't have to
With
travel?
all that stress, yes.
Yeah, so that those are the things you can do on the work environment level to improve processes. So those tiny things are absolutely important.
The details.
Yeah.
Details are important. Well, I'm going to tie this with what Kaida was asking about breaking it down to SMEs, because now we're talking and it looks really big, the whole terms,
Yeah.
process flow, everything else. It looks really, really big. It's almost like it's for bigger corporations than a
Yeah.
SME, like a small business owner. So this next question is, how much growth can be unlocked, if from SMEs by enabling, for SMEs by enabling process improvements?
So let me give you an example that people can relate to address the previous question. If you decide to bake cake at home, right, you have your flour in the store, your eggs are in the fridge. What else do you need for a cake? Butter is also in the fridge. And you just
Sugar.
walk into the kitchen and say, I need to bake a cake. You then walk to the store, pick out the flour, put it in the bowl, move to the next place. The amount of time you're spending to travel would obviously increase the amount of time it takes you to bake the cake.
True.
But you could potentially reduce that amount of time by just organizing stuff. So
To organization.
yeah, so that's how you
By
bring
having
it
it in
down.
one place and then reaching out to it as quickly and as best as
Yes,
possible.
so you eliminate the waste in walking up and down the kitchen. So that's how you bring it in. So in businesses, business owners need to sit down and understand their processes, identify the waste in those processes, and organize, again, at the base level to see what are the things they can do to improve their work. And that's just level 1. There's level 2 and there's level 3. But again, let's not...
Yeah, so for example, let's try to see if we can use like a small business owner. So say a food business.
Yeah.
You're a caterer, you
Yeah.
supply lunch every single day, or you sell, foods in liters. So it could be ofada sauce at 2 liters and 3 liters and 4 liter, and this is like one person with like 3 other staff that's helping you to cook and clean
Yes.
and do dishes and pack them up. Like, how can this process flow be applied in that situation?
So if, for example, the benefit you want is to be able to service more customers, right? You currently know your current capacity. You have 3 staff. It's going to take you're able to make, let's say, 20 bowls a day, 20 liters a day. That's your current capacity. But they are efficient. There are things you can then put in place to ensure you are then able to make 25. So what you need to do is sit back. There's something called Gemba, aka Go See. Sit back and
I need you to
observe.
say it slowly, though. Because
Chamba.
is it
Gemba.
Gemba?
Gemba.
Gemba.
So break it down for us in layman's terms. What's a Gemba?
It's go see. So go and observe the process in
Ha.
reality
Okay.
and take notes of what is really going on.
Do you need to take notes, like physical take notes, or just make a mental note?
notes of
Okay.
how people are actually doing the work.
Okay.
And the intent is for you to sit back and observe how it's actually being done. Just by doing that process, you may already realize, oh, why are we doing this way? Should we have done something different? So those are the very basic, easy steps that you can apply. I think I recently went to a salon, right,
Okay.
to braid my hair. Growing up, going to the salon was okay. You carry
Regular
your bag,
stuff.
your books. You know you're going to spend the whole day to braid your hair, right? But I went to a salon that had applied Lean Six Sigma and again process improvements, the entire braiding process. And I walked into the salon, and normally my hair should take about 6 hours, but this salon finished it in 2.5 hours.
Give us
And-
the
and
address.
what was
though.
the
Judith, you
difference?
don't want the address?
Boy, listen, when she's done, we're going to have that conversation.
And what was the difference? They paid attention to the entire processes
Okay.
and broke it down to allow things even happen in parallel, that they were able to shave off enough
Time.
which then improved the experience of the customer. And what then happened? I'm a regular customer now.
Yeah, they've won you over.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just listening, you're pretty much late for the first half, but stick around. Coming up on the second half is more questions for our guest. She's Princess Edo Osage, and we're talking about processes in SMEs and how best to kind of minimize the waste, as she likes to call it. And waste sometimes is time, and that's what I've been thinking about this entire time. Look at that. Stick around. It's the Business Hub, brought to you by Stanbic IBTC. We're streaming live on YouTube, so go on there and catch us live. Remember to subscribe and also click the notification button so you can be aware each time we're going live. We're talking about enabling SME growth through process improvement. Stay with us.
Tools and tips for a successful
Create
business.
an atmosphere for our young people to be creative, innovative, to participate in the ICT revolution.
Business Hub on Smooth. Stay tuned. Smooth.
And a fresh jar of
As our one-stop business solutions program, we are happy to announce to you that Stanbic IBTC Bank, a customer-centric brand, our sponsor, that likes to give back to its customers, recently launched Reward for Savings promo. We all know how Stanbic IBTC is passionate about the growth of its customers. Therefore, Stanbic IBTC Bank will reward customers who open a new savings account or at Ease Wallet, or top up their existing savings account with a minimum of 5,000 naira, with cash rewards up to 1 million naira. To know more about this promo, visit www.stambicibtcbank.com. Let's start by telling you a bit about Rewards for Saving promo. The promo was designed specifically to encourage people to develop a saving culture. You can now open an instant account and fund it with a minimum of 5,000 naira and stand a chance to win 100,000 naira in the monthly draws or the grand prize of 1 million naira. You can also win 500 naira airtime if you're among the first 20,000 customers to open an account. The more interesting part is you can win 5,000 naira for being among the first 20,000 people to open an account, win 100,000 naira in the monthly draws, and still win the 1 million naira grand prize. Winning in one category does not disqualify you from winning in the next. This is an opportunity you don't want to miss. The account opening process is now easy with the quick services platform on the bank's website, www.stambicibtcbank.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kabam Zasukor. Stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life.
Extraordinary things.
Tools and tips for a successful business.
An atmosphere for our young people to be creative, innovative, and participate in the ICT revolution.
Business Hub on Smooth. Stay tuned.
All right, going in. Kylie, you want to bring us in?
Alrighty, you're welcome back. This is Business Hub. It's brought to you by Stanbic IBTC. And we have a very special guest in the house. We're talking all about processes. Okay, we're talking about enabling SME growth through through process improvement. And we'd love for you to be a part of our conversation. So please reach out to us on 0809 444 0981. In fact, you can catch a glimpse of the studio and the conversation we're having by streaming live on YouTube. Okay, that's www.youtube.com/smooth981.
Yes, indeed. Our guest is Princess Edo Osage. Essien. I don't know why Essien is in my ear, but it's Edo Osage. She is the head of product leadership and agile governance at one of Nigeria's major tech firms. More like fintech. Is it fintech or tech? I think it's fintech.
It's a little of both.
You guys,
Is it?
you guys
Is it not?
being within the two. It's like
Depends.
it just depends on who you ask or whatever your role is there. So we've been talking about just how SMEs can grow through process improvement. And before the break, I was asking her about small businesses and how they can be able to unlock growth, by enabling process improvement. But Princess, how important is it to embrace change, to allow and also enjoy the benefits of to allow a small business enjoy the benefits of process improvement?
Okay, so I like to use stories to make things a little bit more real.
Yes,
Please.
ma'am.
So
Go
let's
on.
go back to our story of the salon, right?
Yes.
So I have a salon and we specialize in braiding. Currently, we only have 2 people on the team who help with the braiding. Based on my current capacity, I can only attend to maybe 2 customers in a day. I can sit down and continue to attend to 2 customers in a day, but I may not be able to scale. I may not be able to hit the targets I want to meet for the month. So it's very important that small and medium businesses pay attention to their processes. And how you can then unlock these things is by first defining why you're actually doing this thing, that you're embarking on this process improvement. So start with a definition. Why do I want to improve? Is that it could be 2 things. Is that I want to serve my customers better, option 1,
Oh.
from a customer perspective. It could also be I want to be able to attend to more customers so that I can earn more, make more money, for example, right? So always start with the definition, because sometimes you embark on these journeys and you may lose sight of what why you decided to embark on this journey. So start with the definition and what you intend to achieve. Once you're able to have that, again, I've defined it for my salon, and I've said, okay, the goal is that we want to be able to attend to more customers, right? I then sit back and look at my process and say, what do I need to do to ensure that I'm able to achieve that goal of attending to more customers? I can employ more people, but the problem with that is that there's chances that because the goal is to earn more revenue, I may want to focus on how do I improve the existing process. Are there things within the salon that I can do? So a simple hack for the salon scenario is that you typically go to the salon and there's somebody who is braiding the hair and there's someone who is giving the person attachments.
True.
You could easily create something, again, a wooden structure that allows you to preset the attachments already prearranged. Then it then means it frees up the second person who naturally would have been giving attachment to the
Hold on
person
to it.
braiding to attend to another customer.
True.
Automatically, by just that simple move, I've been able to reach and attain the goals I want to achieve. So again, process improvement is underrated.
Could you call it like optimizing now?
You could call it that, yes. I'm optimizing the process. So you could
Okay.
optimize the process. So you could call it that, yes.
All right. If you've got questions, please send them in. 0809 444 0981 is where you can send your messages to. We see messages from Damilola, but before we get to that message, I've got a question. Okay, so I know that a lot of people here in Nigeria do mostly the same thing, right? So you see someone that starts a pure water factory. 100 other people start doing it.
Yeah.
Someone starts a barber shop. Someone starts a baker shop. Someone starts different things. So different people do the same type of things. Now, my question here is this: are there too many SMEs in this country that are used to doing the same thing over and over again in terms of processes and businesses as well?
I would say yes. And I think your example is the perfect example. We see Mr. X business, he starts it, we see a lot of people walk into his shop. Suddenly, I think it's that same business I want to do.
Exactly, because it looks as though it's very lucrative, right?
Yes. But sometimes the thing that typically differentiates businesses is down to the strategy, which is simply why do I exist? Who are the customers I'm trying to serve? What processes do I need to do? So again, in Nigeria, as you said, a lot of businesses tend to focus on doing the same thing over and over again. But the ways businesses can win is again by process improvement.
Process improvement. So you'd say, as opposed to doing something totally different, or just improve on the process of the one that you're doing. So if you and I sold, I don't know, headphones, for example, because that's the
Yeah.
closest thing around us right now.
Yeah.
So it's better I try to improve on the processes of selling than outrightly just trying to, do something different.
No, you actually can do something different. But if for example, you started out on this journey to say, my goal is to sell more headphones.
Okay.
If the data is showing you that this business is very tight and we are not actually meeting the numbers that we want, you could sit down and say, okay, is there something else we need to be doing? But those decisions you can't just take off
on
the
the
bat.
fly.
You have to sit around and understand your context, the area you live in, the decisions you even make. In Lagos is completely different from the decisions you make in Ogun State because the environment
Tells a
also
different story.
impacts the things you intend to go into. So that's what I'd say.
And that is creativity, which brings us to the next question. So, how do you inspire creativity in process flows in a business?
So for me, creativity, one of the things that is often overlooked is people. We tend to focus a lot on we want to do this for the customer, for the business, but it's people who actually do the work, right? And no matter what you do, if you had 10 people sitting down together trying to figure out a better way to do things versus one person, you have 10 brains versus one. No matter who you are, a combination of 10 people sitting down together. One of the techniques you could also use is that the leaders need to create that enabling environment where they inspire their teams and their staff to be able to sit back and improve.
Enabling environment. That's a key word there because some Nigerian businesses
Yes.
or business owners, that's a different conversation completely.
Entirely.
And some of those things are the differentiators why Mr. X
His business thrives better than
better
the
than
other.
yours, but you don't see it from outside the door.
I remember I walked into a man's office and he was telling me about how he fired some number of persons just before the COVID hit, and that it's just because people are just here, they're waiting for him to tell them what to do. He can't seem to be getting them to be proactive and get the job done, and he just kept throwing the word profit sharing, and in my mind I'm like, well, I mean, such a standard of process, maybe the SOPs, are what they're called, right? You just set your process and know if everyone knows what they're supposed to do, report to who, and your process and your organization is well structured.
So that's the big assumption, is that there's an assumption that people know what to do. My realization these days is that maybe people don't know what to do.
They need to be told what to do.
Yes, they need to be told what to do. So put your processes in place, document it down, and tell them the why. Why is this process important? So that they understand the why and not just follow this process. Because the human beings would naturally not follow the process. You would take shortcuts.
Yeah.
So get your teams to understand the why first. Make sure you've done everything within your power to give them everything to succeed. However, if after a period of time it is clear that this individual is not, then you have enough data to say, hello, this is the process. You've seen that there are several incidents that you have.
And there should be a guide.
Exactly.
To this should be the guide.
Yes.
Okay, we see messages up on our WhatsApp platform. Demlola, we see yours as well. And you can also send those messages because we're almost out of time. Send them to 0809-444-0981. Don't forget, by the way, Business Hub is what you're listening to. It's brought to you by Stanbic IBTC. So Demlola from Ajah says, good evening, guys. How do you apply this in companies that one individual likes to take the action, which can be very, very slow? I experienced this a lot while in the bank.
That likes to take the decision, which can be very, very slow. One person is making all of the decisions.
Yeah.
It's a one-man business,
All right.
which is typical of SMEs, really.
Yeah, but this time he's talking about the bank, right? Which is
So my comment to that would be that there's a lot of effort leaders need to place on decision making, right? The same thing around delegation, you need to apply to decision making. What decisions can we allow the teams to make?
Okay.
Because they have the sufficient information to be able to make it. while there are certain decisions that have to be brought to the top. But you have to be deliberate about doing that process. You say, okay, it is okay for
you to do
You-
this.
you team members to do this. But if it goes above this threshold, these are more strategic things that could impact the entire process.
So speak to
those
the team
decisions
lead.
need to. So it's just being intentional again around decision making.
All right.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Business Hub brought to you by Stanbic IBTC. Our guest today is Princess Edo Osage. She is the head of product leadership and agile governance at one of Nigeria's major tech / fintech firms. We're talking about enabling SME growth through process improvements or processes improvements.
Let's talk about. We're in a space where most people now work from home, right? What's that thing we call it now? We call it the new normal.
Yeah, it's a
But
new
there's
normal,
another name
working
we
from
call
home.
it. Anyways, it'll come to mind. Okay, and you and I talk about it all the time.
Every time, can you imagine?
So, question here is this: can process flow improvement be achieved whether a business operates physically or virtually? Which is like over the internet. So, can it be applied in that regard?
Yes.
And that's a good question as well, because when the pandemic hit, and I'm sure there must have been some sort of structure that kind of had swayed or sort of fluctuated, and people chose scrambling to know what to do during that time. We're working from home. If I was at the office, I would have done this, but now I'm home. I still don't have limitations. People are not sending in their reports on time or attending to emails on time. I like that. Yeah.
So I think for me, I often joke that the pandemic came and literally disrupted everybody.
Yes.
But those who were somewhat ready on the journey of remote work, they were most likely not too shaken. They were okay. They've been practicing working remotely for a while. Certain organizations had tools but hadn't put in the processes, while some didn't have it at all. So in terms of process improvement remotely versus at work, is that the principles are still the same. It doesn't change. It's just how you implement it. So how do you ensure that working remotely, those processes work together? But you can't just hope that those things happen. You have to be deliberate. So pandemic happened. Suddenly managers realized that, oh my God, I now have to figure out how to manage my staff who are working from different places remotely. So normally in the office, you go from one office to the other, say
To
hello
look
to
through
this
what they're
person,
doing.
time is going, all those different activities. But suddenly remotely, you're sitting down at your desk in front of your TV. You've read your emails in 5 minutes, no distractions.
Of course.
10 minutes later, you're done planning your day. Then suddenly you have 7 hours and you don't know what to do. Right? So the processes that organizations need to apply working remotely is the same, but you just need to figure out how to get that information remotely. But the principles are the same.
Well, as we round things up here in the show, Princess, do Nigerians' infrastructure challenges present a hurdle to improving process flows for businesses?
I would say yes and no. Right? Yes, because there's a lot more we can do if we had certain things in place. But no, because I know that there are certain things you can do with what you have now. 10 years ago, nobody had access to internet. Today, a lot of people have access to internet.
True.
Before, you would have to go to a cyber cafe to sit down. But now, at least not almost everybody, a huge number of businesses have access to the internet. So
let's just say 98%, really.
But that then means that we then have a lot of information. This is the age of information and digital.
Best time to be alive.
Exactly. So
Some persons would argue with you.
so we need to get access to that information that we have there and leverage the things that we can do. So yes or no.
All right.
All right.
Well, it's been very insightful topic and also insightful conversation. If you missed out on the conversation, well, the best part is that we're streaming live on YouTube and you can get back to it to be a part of everything, to catch a glimpse of it. By the way, we've been talking about enabling SME growth through process improvement. And of course, our very special guest in the studio is Princess Edo Osage. She's the head of product leadership and agile governance. And it's been very, very insightful.
Yes, thank you so much. for joining us today, Princess.
Thank you too.
It's been wonderful. The conversation has been really good. Make sure to catch the replay, as Kaide said, on on our YouTube. It's right there. Our guest again is Princess Edo Sagi, Head of Leadership and Agile Governance from InterSwitch. That brings us to the very end of the show. Stick around. More music is coming up on the other side, but the Business Hub ends here.
Yes.
Business Hub on Smooth 98.1 was brought to you by Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC. It can be.
This is Tomi Owo. Keep it tuned right here on Smooth 98.1.
Hey, you! Yes, you listening to this ad. Think of what you can quickly do with ₦1 million right now.